Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me today is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
When big hit labels produce their own New Year's Eve live concert, it showed that agencies can produce their own concerts and performances that are out there without having to use TV channels or partner with traditional media. And so a lot of people are saying, well, are music shows getting archaic? Like, are they in trouble because the bigger groups don't really need them anymore? Because they are now figuring out how to produce their own content, and fans know to go directly to them to watch their favorite artists. And music shows are kind of like, there's so many of them, and there's like one every day. I think it's like 5 days a week or something like that. And that's a lot of live performances, and you know, it's a lot of work for the idol groups to perform at these things. And I'm reading that they don't necessarily get the rights to that footage because that channel will own that footage, and they own the fan cams, and then that's where they make profit, is from the fan cams that are
They make profit from fan cams?
Yeah, like they create them based on that show performance. Like they'll have different angles, and like, I mean, you know what fan cam is.
I see them, but that's what they make profit off of?
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a profit center. I thought that was just, that's a side thing that they do in addition to, you know, the main...
Just showing it on YouTube or something?
The main show of it. Yeah, I think they...
That cannot be that doesn't make that much money. Huh. Okay, go on.
Now that the bigger agencies, I think Big Hit is probably the most prominent example of they're able to produce their own content. They don't need to go on music shows. Like, whenever a BTS song is, you know, in the running for winning that week, they don't go anymore because I guess they don't need to, but I thought their schedule was just too full anyway.
Right.
But it seems like it's not really worth it for them. And I'm also reading that the music shows don't get very good ratings anymore. And I don't know why they would, because, you know, people can just look on YouTube. They could look at, there's so many different ways to look at your idol groups perform. You don't have to watch TV anymore.
Right.
So I guess the problem is that this is not going to work out for music shows in the long run. And I think that's kind of what happened in the US too, because remember MTV used to be a lot bigger, and then now it's like doesn't have any music anymore. It's just kind of not something that's worth it for the groups.
I mean, it's a cultural thing though. It's Korea, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is archaic or not. They may still like it and appreciate it. There may still be a place for it for them. People still talk about how many music show wins you have, right?
Yeah.
So it seems to be a thing they still care about. It's dangerous to just assume when it's a different culture. For instance, the idea that people are buying CDs, they still buy plenty of CDs in Korea and Japan, apparently, for whatever reason, as souvenirs or something. I'm sure they don't listen to them, but it's still a thing. And just like these award shows, they may seem like nothing to us, but they may care over there, you know, who wins this show, things like that. I would say that I don't have any interest in them, but I never would have had it. From the beginning, I wouldn't have interested in these things, so we're not the right judges of this. But the ratings are down. That would indicate that it is waning there too.
Yeah, and I think it's still quality programming because they have live performances, and you don't see that everywhere. Like, I think for the US, the comparable thing might be when they perform on Ellen or something, like one of the on the daytime shows. But then we don't really have any shows that are 100% music and having live performances, so we don't even really have a comparison here. But I guess that's what they have in Korea, because they still value that. But I guess for the bigger groups, it's not so much of a priority anymore. They have so many other things on their schedule. But I think if they want to be more modern, they're going to have to do something about the contracts, because it sounds like sometimes it's not worth it for groups to do it because of the time commitment. Like, you're there filming all day, and then you produce footage that the group doesn't have all the rights to, or they don't have rights right away, and the TV channel has more of the control over that. So, I mean, they may have to update what they're doing. And as far as promotion, it's like, if you're BTS, you don't even need to go on music shows. You just post on your social media, and then that's plenty of promotion. But I think it's still useful for any group that is medium and small and new. that is coming out.
I think it's still useful in Korea to get publicity.
I think they like the competition aspect of it too. It's
Right.
like, oh, the 3 songs that are up. It's like which one's going to get the most points,
Right.
and
They like the hierarchy. They like the competition.
yeah,
And this is one of the only ways to do it.
that's true. But yeah, so I think if they want to get the bigger groups, maybe they don't care about that, but maybe if they wanted to, they'd have to adjust the share of from the footage that they get. Because I noticed that when BTS started performing in the US, they had some kind of arrangement with like Jimmy Fallon and James Corden, because it was very coordinated. Like the videos would come out first on, the whatever Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show YouTube channel, and then there would be a Bangtan bomb of like very similar thing, but from their cameras. So obviously they had to negotiate, like, okay, who's releasing their thing first, and who's what's the timing of it, and how much is that going to cost. So I think when they had their US stuff, they worked all that out, and maybe the music show people aren't as flexible. The other thing is it's just more of a trend of what Big Hit's been doing. Like if they see some new way to innovate, it seems like they will go for it. Like that's why they invented Weverse, which is like a whole new social media basically for their big hit groups, and plus the other non-big hit groups now. They just made their own platform, so they don't have to rely on all these other platforms that are owned by other companies. And it seems like they're going away from V Live as a platform, even though they're still on it sometimes. But so I think it's just like Big Hit is the one that's being independent as far as relying.
They don't need it, but that's not everyone.
Yeah. The Jimin fans sent some protest trucks to the Big Hit building on January 12th. It sounds like some fans are not satisfied with Big Hit right now, and they sent a protest truck to the Big Hit building stating that Jimin has been mistreated and mismanaged by the company, and it had the phrases, "Big Hit should plan various individual promotions to fit Jimin's exceptional and outstanding talent," and Big Hit should stop suppressing him and stop hiding Jimin's achievements, and Big Hit should protect Jimin's rights, and sue all the antis who create and distribute malicious posts.
Okay.
So they had a lot of things to say to Big Hit. The Jimin fans are angry that he isn't being utilized properly. But I don't know if I agree with that, because he had Christmas Love come out. That was a single for Christmas.
Well, what do they want?
I don't know.
They want like a solo album? What do they want? I mean, these are like people crazy enough to send the truck, so maybe they do. They want a solo album, right? Hey, I'm sorry, he's one of 7 members of a group.
He gets good line distribution. He's very visible. He had a solo song. He doesn't have a mixtape yet, but then not all of them did or do, so that's not really if like 6 out of 7 of them already had a solo and he didn't, then okay, maybe
Right.
you have something. But so I don't know if they have an argument there, but it seems like people have a different reaction to the Jimin fans sending the truck versus when the Jin fans sent a truck. Because remember when the Jin fans sent it, it was like, oh, they're just being extra, they're just being funny, they just love Jin or whatever. But it's like some people think these Jimin fans they're solo stands. They're trying to create a divide so that maybe he'll leave the group or something. And so there's kind of more suspicion as far as the fans that sent these trucks.
See. Wow, so they think it's some sort of like false flag operation or something?
Yeah, it could be, because I didn't see any of this reaction when the Jin fans did it. It's just like, oh, well, those are just passionate fans. But some people are saying that these fans are like the villains here. These ones are the antis because they are trying to cause all this trouble, and maybe Jimin isn't mismanaged at all. They're just saying that.
That's very complicated.
That's going into a couple of layers
this is like
there
a conspiracy of some sort
of deception.
Right.
But I kind of see what they're saying in that it doesn't feel to me like Jimin has been wronged by Big Hit. I think he's getting...
No, I don't think he has.
Yeah, he's getting the opportunities that he should be getting.
He's a prominent member in the largest band in the world. What do you want? I mean, it only takes one crazy person to send a truck.
Yeah, just so, someone with money
Hmm.
can do that. It doesn't mean they're speaking for, many people. So I don't know what's going to come of that, but this person, somebody paid for those trucks and they have a lot of time on their hands and coming up with all sorts of phrases to put on these trucks. So just thought that was a funny story, and in comparison to the Jin fans that sent trucks, kind of a different story there.
Well, like it only takes one or two crazy people to send a truck. Why are you guys still sending trucks anyway? Is this effective? It's a truck. It's 2020. We live in an age where there's so much technology. Is a truck driving around with messages scrolling by still the most effective way of communicating?
I guess if
I don't know.
you want it to be placed near the big hit building,
Near the people who work there.
I guess that's the easiest way, is something that's on wheels. I mean, I guess you could organize a protest or something, but I don't really hear people in Korea doing that. Like, that would happen in America. Like, people will just start gathering on a corner, and it's like, here's all of our signs, and here's what we're all about,
Hmm.
So I do wonder, that is different about Korea. It's like, they'll send a truck instead of, hey, let's all gather at such and such square, and then we'll all, talk about this issue that we're passionate about. So it's a very different method of protest.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with it. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't stop traffic or burn down buildings. I'm okay with your protest.
That's true.
All right.
Maybe they view this
If it's
as
not doing those things, then feel free to protest however you want.
they
That's
view this
wonderful.
as a more polite way of, say, getting the message across. It's
Yeah,
like,
good, excellent. It's your money.
that's pretty considerate.
It's not. I'm not. It's not up to me to spend your money, and it didn't hurt me in any single way. So that's good,
It's like, have at it.
right? I'm wondering if it's the most efficient thing to do, but I guess maybe it is because it got a news story, right? News was printed about it.
Right.
So that's better than, sending a direct email or something. Neither will do anything, of course. And, like, Jimin will not get more lines.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't affect things in the long run. On January 3rd, Jimin posted on Weverse a black screen with text that said, "Sorry, Jungin." And it wasn't really clear what that was about if you're an international fan, but I looked it up, and this was had to do with a social media campaign to help spread awareness for child abuse. I guess on that night, there had been a TV show in Korea that aired. It's called Unanswered Questions. And this show, it kind of sounds like a Dateline NBC, where it's just kind of talking about, serious news stories and like true crime and things like that. So I just think it's funny to think that Jimin, who's like super famous K-pop idol, is just sitting at home on a Friday or Saturday night.
Well, it's quarantine.
And he's just like watching Dateline NBC like everybody else. So that was pretty funny. But this episode of Unanswered Questions was about a foster baby named Jungin, who is a girl, and she had been adopted by a Korean couple. And these people, they'd been shown on TV, and for some reason it was publicized. It was like covered as a story, so everybody knew who this baby was, and it was like, oh, that's great, she got a new home. Well, it turns out that the adoptive mother had been abusing the baby, and then she ended up dying at the emergency room, and she had a lot of damage, and you could tell that she had been abused over time. And so the parents tried to say that her death was an accident, and the case is causing national outrage. And I think especially because, they have a lot of media coverage about it, like on this TV show, and so people want the parents to be tried for murder. So I'm not sure what the status of all the criminal part of it is, but this, I think, took place last year, like, sometime in 2020, but then the TV show was just recent. And then Jimin posting it, was like, oh, okay, that's really like bringing it to a lot of people's attention. So what I wanted to look at was it's getting more common for idols to speak out about current events or causes or things that they're passionate about. And I've seen other idols talk about different things like, environmental causes or helping the homeless and stuff like that. And I just wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing that they're chiming in on stuff like that.
Well, is it that widespread, or is it just here and there?
I don't know. I mean,
right?
child abuse. That I'm
I mean, not
sure.
child abuse. I mean, people
Oh,
weighing in, K-pop stars weighing in.
I think it's happening more often now. But I think it's seen more in like, oh, we're spreading awareness about this cause. Like, remember, like Blackpink was talking about there's a climate conference or something from the UN,
Hmm.
and now they're talking about that. And I mean, I don't think this was a premeditated thing by Jimin. I think he just watched it and he was just
Right.
like, I'm gonna participate in this campaign. But I think people, they saw that and they were like, oh, that's very touching that Jimin cares about this story and is talking about child abuse and spreading awareness. And I think it's like not a bad thing. I mean, as long as it's an issue that isn't polarizing, like it's not, one of those issues that gets people upset. And it's like if you're on one side or the other. If it's something that's like, okay, we can all agree on that that's a bad thing, then I think,
Well, yeah. I mean, that's if you don't want to harm your brand, all right? Maybe some people don't care about harming their brand, just playing devil's advocate. Some people just don't care, and if they want to use their platform to speak, and they don't care about the backlash or the consequences to their popularity, I think that's fine too. Don't complain if there is some sort of backlash, right?
yeah,
Because that's the type of thing that you can expect if you're speaking on controversial issues. I don't get the sense that this is happening a lot in K-pop. This may just be, I'm so used to an American culture where, celebrities are they speak so freely on whatever they want to speak about.
yeah,
They have that right. You can say it's a good thing or bad thing. That's, subjective, but not that they have the right, but you can say it's subjective whether or not it's prudent for them to do, right? But at the same time, it's not your career and it's not your brand. So whatever, it's on them to be the shepherd of their own brand,
yeah.
whether they take it to a good or bad place. I don't see a lot of K-pop artists following in the footsteps of American artists. They don't seem very outspoken to me. It's like you said, when they do speak about something, it seems to be fairly uncontroversial.
Yeah. And I think it is because their agencies have told them, it's like it's very important to stick to your brand and not say anything that is divisive or, controversial. Don't have any like strong opinion about something unless it's something like very humanitarian or something that everybody can support. So I think maybe that's why Jimin was okay with commenting on something like that, is because like, oh, nobody's gonna say, oh no, this is great that this child was abused.
Hmm.
Of course everybody's gonna agree that this is a terrible thing and that there should be more awareness of it. So yeah, it's just interesting to see. But I think certain issues that, like, sometimes people think, oh, that's not a divisive thing, and it's like, well, it actually is if you look at it, because some people feel very strongly about climate change and then they think it's one thing or another thing. And so I don't know if like Blackpink is being totally neutral with some of the things that they're working on now. So I don't know. It just maybe they are looking more at the global audience, and there's a lot more support for the climate change stuff. And
I would say it's mostly a business decision for them.
yeah, I mean, it's
I get the impression that Blackpink they don't say anything that's not company approved.
right.
That's just my impression.
And them promoting that conference, I'm sure that of course had to go through YG, and it's like, well, we're gonna sign off on this and go ahead and talk about that. And I think they probably view it as the same thing as when, oh, now Blackpink is a spokespeople for this climate conference. Is the same thing as being spokespeople for all the brands that they're signed on for. So like Chanel and Dior and Bulgari and all that stuff. So they probably think of it as the same thing. But, they can spin it as more like, this is like, we're saving the earth and stuff.
I mean, are you? I know you don't think that you don't think this is generally a good thing. Are you afraid that there's gonna be more K-pop artists speaking out about stuff, or you don't care?
Yeah, I think they're gonna like start to go more in the direction of how American artists are just like talking about everything. I mean, they don't all do that, but a lot of them do. The bigger A-list artists, they just start getting like way too political, and it's like, okay, can we go back to just talking about the music and like, fun stuff? It's like, why certain things, serious issues have to always be talked about. And with American artists, like, you're only getting music every so often. It's like every other year or something. So in between, it's going to be a lot of just that person's opinions.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, if you don't agree with everything they say, it's hard to like be on board and like wait for the music and just kind of ignore certain things that you don't like. So I don't know. It's just, I don't think that's a good direction to go in. I think they should just try to stay neutral, or if they're going to talk about something, then it should be something that everybody agrees with, which I think is what BTS has done so far. They've just had very safe, advocacy kind of topics like, self-esteem, mental health, and being against child abuse. I think that's definitely something everyone can support. So I think they should try to stay with that. And I don't see big hit artists going astray with that. Maybe some of the other groups might. I don't know. But I don't know if that's a good direction to go in. You don't want to be too Western because, it's like a lot of Western artists that are just like, once you say too much, it's like you can't take it back. Then you're seen as standing for certain things. And it's like, well, that's it. And then people don't think of your name with your music anymore. They think of the artist and then the opinions they have rather than the music.
I don't think you have too much to be concerned about, because with Korean artists, I don't think they're as outspoken in general. They're going to stick to, basically doing their job, which is music for the most part.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely, it should be the focus. It's like the music and the message of the artist. That's really the more important thing. And this is like kind of just side stuff that's, maybe it supports your brand, maybe it doesn't, but it's not related to the music. So I saw a Reddit discussion where it was saying, if you thought JYP was a good guy, why did you think that? And it went on to list a number of situations about JYP being a bad guy, and a lot of that had to do with how hard the idols work, and the female idols, maybe they're exploited too much in the videos, and then male groups are kind of not managed well. So what I would say is, like, my impression of JYP is based on a couple things early on, which was seeing his videos, a couple of his videos, so I thought those were funny. And then a lot of what I've seen from JYP is from his appearances on the Twice competition show 16, so how he acted on that. And also there was a Korean show he was on that showed kind of behind the scenes of his life. I forget the name of the show, but it was like following him, when he goes to work at JYP, and it kind of showed what his daily routine is and all the many vitamins he
So the bottom line is, some people
day.
don't think he's a good guy, and you do, right?
Well, that was my impression.
Yes.
I thought that up until like very recently. I was like, oh, some people don't think he's a good guy.
Some
Oh,
people,
okay.
I mean, the public figures, some people always think they're good. Some people think they're bad. I think that in general, there's this impression that he's one of the nicer people in K-pop, right? And he tries to feed into that. Like when you watch his stuff, he'll talk about, oh, I have a, I'm concerned about, the health and well-being of my charges, the people in my employment, right? Right? He
Yeah,
talks
well,
about that. It's
that's-
like, that's why he wants his like special cafeteria and things like that.
That's why I got that impression from watching 16, is that he was like, oh, it's important for the artist to have
Yeah.
really good values and be good people.
At the same time, that could just be something he puts on for TV.
Yeah.
True. We don't know him personally.
That's why I'm like, was trying to read through the thread. I'm like, okay, let me hear this out and see what people are saying, because, maybe I don't know the whole story.
Well, the thing is, it could be just a lip service. It could just be something that he's putting on for show. But I mean, it's better than other companies don't even do that, as far as I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, he does have the all organic cafeteria
He has the all organic cafeteria.
with healthy food.
Yeah, I don't know like how vital that is to everybody, but whatever, he has it. That's good, I suppose. I tend to think that he probably, it's never what people want to present to you. People are more three-dimensional than that. I know that a lot of people, they have complaints about him still. One of them being, oh, well, he works his people so hard. Well, people work hard in K-pop. That's just the thing. If you don't work hard, your company wouldn't be successful. You're not going to work your employees hard, your company won't be successful. And some people had a problem that he talked about, like body standards for women. People have to be a certain look, a certain. Well, that's just reality. That's just reality. If you don't like it, maybe going into the K-pop industry is just not for you.
Right.
Right? But he needs to run a successful K-pop company. The last thing that he needs to be concerned with is what, let's just be honest, like people of left-leaning ideology on Reddit think in the United States. If you are on Reddit or Twitter and you have a certain ideology, that's fine. But a Korean man running a K-pop company, he doesn't care about that. They have a different culture. They have different standards that, but they're not on board with the whole Lizzo train. JYP cannot put, even if he totally agreed with you and he wanted to put a Lizzo out there, he couldn't. He does not run a successful K-pop company by conforming to whatever percentage of the West is on Reddit or Twitter voicing their political opinions. It's like, I understand that you think that maybe it's regressive or backwards for K-pop to insist that their women be under X weight, have Y look. In order for him to run a successful K-pop company based in Korea, he needs to conform to those standards. So how can you fault him for that? And also, they all do. So then the fact that he conforms to those standards doesn't make him any better or worse than other people who run K-pop companies. It just makes him typical.
And JYP, he's really just like the messenger for what fans want. Like, it's up to him to know what they want. And we saw, like, even with ITZY, like, they had some kind of like minor issue with Cherry Young, and like some fans didn't like how she looked and stuff. And it's like, she's not even unattractive, and she's like an amazing dancer. She can sing, and it's like, okay, they just slightly didn't like things about her face. And, like, some fans,
this is Korea.
Some fans were just really vocal about that. I don't know how many, but he got heat just for that. So yeah, imagine if he didn't stick to the typical body standards in K-pop.
We can talk about all day whether or not this is healthy or anything like that, but he's running a company. He's responsible to his shareholders, and he's responsible to the many employees to run that company well. And part of running that company well means putting forth a good product as is defined by the Korean market. First, more and more, it also includes foreign markets. But as of now, that is still a secondary market, right? The primary market is still Korea. We can all agree on that. And that market insists that women look a certain way. And if you have a problem with that, take it up with Korean culture or something, right? That's not JYP's responsibility or fault. So that criticism, I think, is totally off base. So what do you have left? What do you have left as far as what people want to criticize him for?
Yeah.
What does he do to people that's so bad?
In that respect, he wasn't any different than the other label heads.
We're judging him by our standards in the West, and not even our standards. A certain subset of the West is judging him by their standards. I'm sorry, it just doesn't apply. When he tells people to lose weight or whatever, if you were telling your friend, that sounds ugly. But keep in mind, this is an industry where it matters. He needs to tell people this. I remember 16 when if you watch 16, we watched 16. He told Gio she was fat like 4 or 5 times. I don't know if he said you're fat. He tried to be diplomatic about it. He just said your fitness is an issue, whatever, something like that. Right?
Yeah.
It was, though. And she needed to shape up for the standards of that company and the industry that they're in.
Yeah, and I think you could see the results. Like, Twice is a great product. ITZY's a great product. And we know he's very hard on them with their dance practices. Like, you have to be absolutely perfect and all in unison. And all the groups say that about JYP. But, it's like that's one of his things is perfection. Yeah.
And you can sort of tell that I do feel like the I don't want to throw shade at Blackpink, but you can kind of see when you see live performances of ITZY, it's sharper than live performances of Blackpink.
Yeah.
I don't know I think they're just held to a different standard,
Yeah, I think Blackpink, it's just kind of like
just to hear the moves.
It's good enough.
Yeah, it's good enough. Look good in the video, and we'll use camera tricks, but that doesn't seem to be acceptable for ITZY. They seem to be held to a different standard as far as their choreography. I don't know. I think it produces a better product. You can agree or disagree. But,
Yeah, and I don't think it's about JYP being a mean guy. I think it's the fact that he's a dancer himself, and so he knows,
right.
you know, what it takes to be perfect. And it seems like
Right.
what it takes is just a lot of repetition.
Yes, what it takes is a lot of repetition. What it takes is just uncompromising accountability. It's not pretty. It's not nice. Hey, you join an industry that is not nice.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to hear that. If I was like the fifth, like the worst dancer on ITZY, I wouldn't want to be pointed out all the time.
Yeah, but
that's what
this
he
is
does.
this is the industry you join. This is your job. If you didn't want to do this, be like a kindergarten teacher or something, right? This is not the industry for you. If that's the case, I'm sorry it hurt your feelings, but JYP is not your mom. He doesn't care about him. If that makes him a bad person or mean or whatever or problematic or whatever interesting label you want to put on him, I guess so be it. But trust me, you're not going to find any better.
Probably
This is this industry.
Probably the other companies are worse even.
I'm guessing.
Like at least
I don't know.
JYP has at least the image of being nice. I don't know if anyone at SM has that.
I'm guessing. He seems like a nice guy. I'm not gonna. I always caution people to say, "Oh, don't think that you know these people based on." Yeah, so I don't think I know him. In a very superficial sense, he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, I've seen him on several shows, so I feel like I somewhat know
From
him.
what we can see,
I don't think he's an Ellen where he's like 100% fake or anything, but who knows?
And also, he doesn't really try to hide these other aspects of his personality. He doesn't try to hide that, this is hard work, and he has really tough standards. He's not hiding that. If they make it onto the shows, obviously, he's not hiding it, because he could have easily said, hey, don't put that in the edit.
Right.
Just put all the stuff where I'm just super nice to people, right? He didn't have to include that, but he included those parts, So I think it's fair. And I think whatever a person presents of themselves, of course, yes, it's not always going to be 100% accurate or nuanced or three-dimensional. But it's just another situation where I feel that those in the West are applying their very narrow standards to somebody in a different culture and in a different context and just expecting something from them that they had no right to expect.
Yeah. Whatever they're saying, I think JYP is just typical of CEOs as far as expecting a lot from the idols and expecting a lot of hard work and giving them the hard truths sometimes.
And will he be loved by all of his employees? No. He's a boss. He's not going to be loved by all of his employees. I don't think he is a perfect person, and I'm sure that some people will have some bad things to say about him, but I don't know. I got the impression that some people are thinking, "Oh, he's actually one of the bad people in K-pop." Like, no, I don't think that's true.
I don't think so. I think they might be like reading too much into
I think
couple of things.
they're uncomfortable with the idea of what K-pop is in general.
Yeah.
Based on their coddled upbringing. That's what I think.
So that brings me to the big story which happened recently, was that GOT7 is not re-signing with JYP, and it sounds like, well, they started in 2014, and I'm not like a GOT7 stan or anything, but it sounded like they were kind of a medium-level successful group.
No, I would say that they're big level success.
Pretty successful.
Yeah.
But they decided to not re-sign. I guess their contract was up just recently, so it's like 2021. I guess that's 7 years later. And they decided to not re-sign with JYP. And this article had some notes about, this person's signing with this company, and then Jackson is going to stay with his own label, and then Mark will go to America and do stuff with his own YouTube channel. Well, it sounded like they all had some different plans in mind. So do we think that had to do with JYP, the man, or do you think that's just, they wanted to do solo things, or do you think they were mistreated by the company? Some people think like they weren't promoted very well, and I don't know what...
They weren't promoted very well. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I think that is a fact. And I think the reason why they weren't promoted very well is that JYP has realized for about a year at least that he doesn't want to resign them. He doesn't want to resign them. This happens in sports. Sometimes you just realize, this guy's not going to be with our team for that much longer.
I see.
We'll still, have a working relationship, but this guy's not going to be with our team for that much longer. He didn't want to resign them.
So you're saying he kind of knew already before.
Of course he knew. Of course he knew.
And he just let the time run out.
He knew 2021 was coming up. He must have been thinking about this for at least 2 years.
Right.
And this is where, sports is another good analogy. Why invest anything more into GOT7, more money? Their next contract obviously would cost more money.
Right.
Right? Why invest any of that when Stray Kids is obviously super popular? They're at or above the level of GOT7 right now.
That's true.
So, and they're new, so they're cheap, right? They're on their first contract. First contract is never as friendly as the second contract. Why would he invest all that time? Now, one could say, well, you can invest in GOT7 and also Stray Kids at the same time. Well, that implies that you have a certain number of producers and songwriters and things like that, right? And only JYP knows what he has resource-wise.
Right.
He has Twice, he has ITZY, he has Stray Kids. Those are going to be the priority. I mean, what does he have for GOT7? And then if they're the fourth priority, are they worth whatever contract, whatever money he has to pay them? He's probably realized for about at least a year that the answer is no. So whatever final comebacks they have, it's not going to be well promoted, is not going to be well supported. It's intentional because he's not investing a lot into something that he knows has a expiration soon.
Mm-hmm.
Stray Kids is the number one boy group there. Everyone knows it, right?
Right.
And they're cheaper. This is just like sports. If your best player is a young person on his first contract and is cheap, guess who starts getting cut or let go? Older players who are more expensive. I don't need you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when Stray Kids comes towards their 7th year, if they have another boy group that is younger and almost as popular, you know what's going to happen to them. If they don't, then maybe Stray Kids will get their second contract, right? It all depends on the context at that time. I'm not bothered by it.
It could have also been the strategy of JYP to make them not want to sign again. So it's like he knows he didn't want them, so he...
No, I mean, what do you make them not want to? I mean, he could just not offer them anything. He doesn't have to make them not want to sign. He just doesn't have to offer them a contract. That's all totally on him. And I don't think he did. I'm not upset about it. Because
it sounded more like in the story that it was the members that didn't want to sign back on. Like, well, or maybe that was the spin. He could
easily spin that by offering like such a garbage contract.
Such a low number.
Yeah, that there's no way they would have accepted it, right?
Right.
And he would just said, well, we offer. This happens in sports too. They'll offer you a contract.
And it's like
and they'll
insulting.
say, well, the guy didn't want to sign. Like, he didn't want to sign for clearly an insulting contract, right?
Right. We don't know what happened.
So the reality is you didn't want him back.
Right.
That's the reality. But then you want to tell your fan base that, hey, we tried to sign him. No, you didn't really. If you offer a guy like so below his market value, it's clear that you didn't want him back. I'm not upset about it because, as you know, Jackson Wang is one of my favorite artists. And I think it's good. I think it's good for him. Just he doesn't have to be in GOT7 anymore.
Yeah, you like him.
He'll just be Jackson.
You like
Wang.
him as a solo artist.
Yeah, he'll just be Jackson Wang. That's fine. I feel bad for people who like GOT7, but they say that they will still get together sometime. But I don't know how true that is because number one, I'm pretty sure JYP owns the name GOT7. You guys can't just be GOT7. That's JYP's property.
I mean, maybe they can, but then they'd have to give him a bunch of money.
Perhaps, right.
Like
and would they want to? Probably not.
Like if they got together for a reunion concert or something.
Like when you sing the songs, who owns those songs? JYP.
Right.
It's certainly not GOT7. So what's the future in that, really? I don't think there's any. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that this is the end of it. If you enjoyed them, hopefully you enjoy the hell out of them. But this is it.
Yeah, and some groups aren't long term anyway. 7 years, that's pretty decent for a group.
It is, and they were not the preeminent group or anything like that. They were not one of the top groups. I think they were pretty big, but they were not one of the top groups, so...
They had some good songs.
Yeah, I'm not going to say nothing of value was lost, but at the same time, it does seem like there's a future for the individual members if you like the group. You can follow them still.
Well, I did read also about... I don't know where that was, but they had agreed, like, if one of them didn't want to re-sign, then none of them would try to re-sign. Because
that sounds like a terrible agreement.
I mean, like, they only wanted to be 7 or nothing. So
true.
Because sometimes there's groups that re-sign and it's not all the same people, or it's like, switched out people, or,
right.
Just 5 out of 7 or something. But it sounded like JYP was probably not interested in any kind of GOT7.
He didn't want
forward.
GOT7 at all. Let's get that clear. He didn't want it at all. He didn't want 3 members back. He didn't want 4 members back. He wanted 0 members back. Stray Kids is their boy group now.
It's business.
That is business. You were replaced by the younger and cheaper and more successful version of you today, and that is life. I know that's crazy to say because I think all the members of GOT7 are under the age of 30, right? So it is crazy to say.
Well, it seems like there could have been room if they had their own niche. Like, because the Stray Kids, they could be the more hip-hop, the more edgy group, and then they could have been, GOT7 could have been something else. Cause,
Maybe.
Like, SM has all, multiple groups going on.
Maybe JYP just didn't like them or didn't if he wanted them, he could have had them, right? Money talks.
Right.
If he wanted to sign them, he could have just thrown a sufficient amount of money at them until they signed.
Yeah, because JYP is in good financial state right now.
If he wanted a GOT7 to exist, they would exist today.
Right.
He did not want it for the price that it would take. And I don't even think the price that it would take would have been exorbitant. It doesn't strike me that GOT7 members were asking for something. This is my guess. They were not asking for something unreasonable. They know who they are, roughly what they can demand. He didn't even want GOT7 at that price. Is it a mistake? I don't know. We'll see, right? I doubt it.
I mean, this might be better for everybody in the long run, It's like the members can do their own thing. They probably all have different styles and different songs that they want to do.
Well, it might not be better for some of the members. I mean, like Jackson Wang will be fine.
Right.
But will all of them be?
I actually don't even know.
You don't know all the members, see? And the ones that you don't know, some of them may fall by the wayside. So it might not have been the best for all of them. But I don't think it's... My guess is he wasn't angry at them or anything like that. It's just business.
Right. It just didn't work out like he had expected.
Right. If it were BTS, obviously, he would try to re-sign them at all costs. I don't think it was personal. I don't think it was anything like that. It's just business.
So there was a Reddit post talking about there's been a lot of issues going on around the world, and this person said, I keep seeing my mutuals saying to stop tweeting about K-pop because there's more important things going on, and I get that it's difficult, but you can't expect everyone to stop and focus on you. So this person is observing how, there's so many things going on in the world, and sometimes certain K-pop fans are kind of lecturing other people. It's like, hey, stop talking about K-pop right now because this is happening here. And then, like, the one example is this person said there was a earthquake in Croatia recently, and no one else was talking about that. And it's like, what did they expect everybody to stop and...
There was an earthquake in Croatia?
Yeah. Did they expect everyone to stop and talk about that? And it's like, same thing. It's like, okay, there's a lot of big things.
Were there Croatians like lecturing people to stop talking about K-pop?
I think they were using that as an example.
Because they weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there were not any Croatians lecturing people.
Yeah. It's just about...
But whenever anything happens in America, don't talk about stuff. Right. Because you're... No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, don't talk about K-pop right now. That's frivolous. We're talking
for God's
about
sakes,
this
and
issue.
Don't hashtag what's a really frivolous thing? Jungkook's new hair color.
Yeah.
Don't hashtag that because there's something really serious going on in my country. That country is always America, by the way. We have something going on, political, or somebody died, or some kind of thing.
Yeah.
That needs to go to the top of the trending. So don't hashtag Jungkook's new hair color because then that's really offensive and upsetting because on this day when everybody should be talking about whatever the hell's going on in America, apparently you all are talking about Jungkook's new hair color.
It's like, how dare you?
How dare you talk about the fact that it's blonde or red or whatever the hell it is? It's insensitive. It's offensive. It's all of those things, right? That's what certain people are. Yeah, I see lots of people like that on Twitter. Unfortunately, I do experience K-pop stans, American K-pop stans. I do see what they say. Yeah, you're right. It's dumb. And so some people are pushing back against that is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should push back against it because it's dumb.
No one should be telling anybody else what they should be talking about.
Let's just put it this way, okay? The argument that something more important than K-pop is happening today, that applies to every single goddamn day of the year. There is no day where K-pop that's just so free and clear of strife and calamity that we can just say, well, this is just one of those good days, so we are all free to just talk about K-pop and hashtag all our K-pop stuff today. Guys, take advantage. Today is one of those days. You can hashtag all the K-pop stuff. There is no such day. So K-pop is only since 1990 or so. I can guarantee you that over the past 30 years, there has been an active war on this planet. Every single one of those days,
there's been a
war. There's been a war,
famine,
or famine,
or an earthquake,
or a natural disaster, or a plane crash, or an accident, or a murder, or some terrible stuff that people are doing to other people. You know when that's been happening? Every single day. That's only if you have the standard of don't do it when a serious thing is happening. But that's not these people's standard, is it? These people's standard is don't do it when a serious thing in my country that I happen to care about is happening. That's their actual standard.
Yeah.
And as far as those things, that's not every single day. Probably only half the days are occupied by serious things in your country that you care about. And when I say your country, I of course mean the United States of America. Only about half the days. So the other half of the days, you can feel free to post about K-pop. I hate to be so reductive and just say something outright is dumb, but, well, that's about the amount of respect that this sort of thinking deserves.
I just think that a lot of people in America, they're on social media and they're very self-centered, and they just think everybody is supposed to be aware of what's going on here. And then there's the other aspect of, like, you are entitled to dictate what other people talk about. It's
right.
Like, no one wants to hear that.
Why can't other people talk about, K-pop hairstyles and colors? Why? They can't send it trending. Why? Oh, because this thing needs awareness. So like, well, it needs so much awareness, then you post about it 1 billion times or something. Whatever. You do the work to make people aware of it, right?
Yeah, and
that's not other people's responsibility.
They might even be aware of it. They just like, okay, I don't want to talk about that. That's unpleasant. I want to just talk about K-pop
They might even be aware of it and not care. That is absolutely true. That's a good point.
Well, they may be aware of it, and it's like, okay, I know about it, and I'm thinking about it, but I'm not gonna like tweet about it. It's not enough to do. I won't
even say that much. I would just say maybe they don't even care.
They may not. I mean,
maybe they don't care. Do they have to care?
Not everything affects every person.
There's like 6 ongoing wars right now happening where people are dying every single day. And the average American who lectures other people on Twitter as far as what hashtags can be sent trending is probably aware of one of them. Should we hold you to the standard? You're not even aware of everything going on. Why are you ever talking about anything that's not one of these 6 civil wars or something? What gives you the right? These things are way more important than anything you want to talk about. Why don't we lecture these people? This is just dumb, And there's so many people like I know. Like if you're listening and you're in a foreign country, and maybe you're not familiar with this subset, this very very small subset of American person on social media likes to lecture everybody else about what is acceptable. It's like what you should be talking about, what you should care about. You don't know about these people, you don't care about them. I envy you because that is wonderful. It's wonderful if you're not aware of these people or not affected by these people.
And you could say like, oh, well, I just want people to be aware of it. But then they don't realize they're just bringing down other people's joy by it's like, no, don't hashtag this. Don't tweet about this person's birthday, this K-pop person's birthday, because that's disrespectful. It's like, well,
who cares?
If it makes people happy, like, I don't know what's bad about it. It's like sometimes people need escapism too.
I don't even want to. A lot of people make this argument. It's like, well, what about the argument for escapism? I don't even want to make that argument. Because it implies that if not for the need for escapism, these people from foreign countries should give a damn about your stuff that you care about. My position is that they are under no obligation to give any damn whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to escape from this serious thing you are talking about. They are not even obligated to care in the first place. You have race riots in your country. One person was killed in your country. You found it unjust. I don't think a person in Indonesia is obligated to care at all. And they should be allowed to just post whatever the hell they want on that day or any other day, regardless of whatever thing that you care about. To say that, well, sometimes we need escapism, it's sort of implying like that Indonesia person, well, it's okay. They can post about stuff if they need the escapism that day. No, 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 no. They can just post about the stuff, period.
Yeah.
They don't need the excuse that, I need to escape the serious events. It's like, no, no, no. Let people post about what they want to post about. You want to post about this thing, you post about that thing.
Yeah.
And if their thing is trending, well, I guess more people cared about Jungkook's hair color that day
Yeah.
than your thing. Sorry.
That's what I think. I think everybody should just post about whatever they want to.
You just post about whatever you want to. You want to post about the serious stuff that affects you? Wonderful. Do it. Why are you policing what other people? And yeah, you're offending and you're insulting and you're really, frankly, confusing people from other countries. They're asking, yeah, what are you guys talking about? Honestly, I'm from the United States, and I'm wondering sometimes. People say, hey, this is really insensitive on this day when this happened. And I'm like, what's this? What are you talking about? I didn't see that. Something happened? I mean, I read the news, but I tend to read news that affects, like performance of stocks. So if it's about something that doesn't affect that, I don't really care about it. And I'm probably not going to click on it. So I don't know about it. I live in this country. You're going to expect people from other countries to know about whatever serious thing? Come on. This is not all Americans. This is just this strange subset of moral busybodies that are on social media. But the problem is non-Americans go to a lot of these places, right? They go to Reddit, they go to Twitter, which are dominated by Americans, but not just Americans broadly, these busybodies from America. So this is the taste they get of Americans, which is very, very unfortunate. Because I think Americans in general are more open-minded and forgiving than that in general. But if your only experience of Americans is international K-pop fans, and when people say international, I think they generally just mean American, right? Or you go on social media, this is the type of person you're going to encounter.
You're going to get someone with like really strong opinions.
Yeah, and they're a certain type of opinion. There's a certain segment of our American society. This is not a broad representation. I think that's unfortunate. This is what people are getting. Just saying, wow, are all Americans this, are they all moral busybodies? Are they just trying to go around policing what other people do?
Right, that's true. There's like a wide range of people in America, and a lot of them are not like that at all.
But you are encountering, trust me, if you are not an American and you are encountering Americans on Reddit or Twitter, just trust me when I say that you are encountering a certain type of person. And this is not representative of the broad swath of Americans. But in the K-pop sphere, yeah, you're getting these types of people. And you'd probably be irritated with them.
Yeah, you'll see some big accounts that be like, check out my card, and here's what you can do about this.
Here's what you can do about this. Don't post about this today. Don't post about that today. Did you know that this is the thing you need to care about? I'm like, okay, what is this thing? Yeah.
That's not
I would not
everybody.
fault you for saying, screw you, you self-absorbed American. I don't care about the things you care about.
I don't blame anyone who says international fans are annoying. Or
I don't blame them at all.
International armies.
Because they're annoying to me. Okay? I don't blame them at all. Before you ever listen to American fans who like tell you what you should be talking about, just understand that they probably cannot even write in the names of half the countries on Earth correctly.
Right. They can't name your world leader.
Yeah. They can't name your world leader. They don't know anything about the outside world, okay? They are that self-absorbed. So why should you respect them and their wishes? I really don't think you need to.
Yeah, so don't feel bullied by these people. Just post whatever you want to post about any day of the week about K-pop.
Right. And it's the internet. They have no ability to send you to jail or anything. They can say mean words to you or whatever, but you can say them right back or ignore them, whichever is your preference. You don't have to listen to them though. I would advise not listening to them. I would say that the less that people listen to them, the better off we'll all be. Yeah, these people want obedience. They want compliance. Don't give it to them because it just encourages them. You don't want to encourage bad behavior, right? So don't give it to them.
Right. Like BTS says, speak yourself.
Right. Don't listen to quote-unquote international fans, right? They can say whatever the hell they want. You don't have to listen.
Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, Deezer, Listen Notes, and iHeartRadio. New episodes weekly. To support the podcast, please comment and share on social media, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or give us a rating on your podcast app. Follow BTS Happy Hour on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also go to the website at btshappyhour.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional content. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.